I cannot tell you how excited I am to speak to Allegro Dinkwanyane, the founder of Ogela Media. Allegro is a South African-born entrepreneur and media personality, and in October 2011, Allegro launched her entertainment website Ogela Entertainment, followed by a PR and marketing agency, Ogela Communications. She is one of the youngest owners of a 100% Black-owned media company in South Africa, and she's here to speak to us today. Allegro, how are you doing?
Good evening, Brian. I'm very well, thank you. And I'm very excited to be on your platform.
Yeah, I'm just as excited. Thanks for making the time. So I'm excited to get to know you. You and I haven't actually spoken before this. I kind of, I did this with Mbali and Kosi recently, and it's an amazing way of getting to know someone, right? Because normally a interview like this would happen in person. So it's actually just really an interesting way to delve into someone's career and understanding why they do what they do. So let's start off with that. What is it about media and communications that speaks to you as a person?
I've been a fan of the media industry since I was probably 14, 15. I grew up watching a lot of TV, listening to a lot of radio, and reading a lot of magazines, a lot of books. And for me, it was really fascinating that I could grasp so much and learn a lot about other people, and just also be inspired through these different media platforms. And I wanted to, be involved, and I wanted to then have a business that is within the media industry. And I just happened to go into the PR space and also the blogging space, and especially when blogging was still very new in South Africa and in Africa. So the media space for me has always been exciting. I found it very unique, and I just wanted to get involved. I was inspired by women like Oprah Winfrey, Kanye Dlomo, Basetsana Kumalo, and I grew up watching those women, and they inspired me on my journey to becoming a media entrepreneur.
That's so cool. When would you say that journey started for you? So you went and you studied, and you've done some internships. How did you find your way? I mean, you've got some amazing opportunities with Trace as well as the BBC. What was happening? Was there something that was happening during your studies that made you more eligible for those positions? And I mean, it's so exciting. So I'm wondering, how did that happen for you? Those first steps before you started your company?
Well, I've always known that I wanted to be self-employed and be within the media industry. And the first thing I did when I was 19, when I got to Johannesburg from Limpopo province after matriculating, and I went over to the SABC, and I decided to, just introduce myself to the first radio personality that I come across, and with the intention of, learning and shadowing anybody who would just open a door and take me in. So for me, really, Johannesburg was like my big apple. When I was coming to Joburg, I thought, I'm not going to waste any time. I'm not going to wait until I have graduated after 3 years here at the University of Johannesburg. I want to start early. I want to start finding out about this industry that I want to go into, and learning as much as I can, even before I get to the point where I graduate and I then start my company. So that's what I did. And the first person who took me in was Carol Chavalala. She was working as a radio host doing the afternoon drive on Radio 2000. And I got there, walked into the SABC, and I stood by the window watching her presenting her show with her co-host. And eventually she came out and asked me who I am. I introduced myself, told her that I wanted to shadow her, and she took me in. And since then, I learned so much from her and, other people that were in the media industry, including Gwena Mwabela, who's also an SABC sports anchor.
So you're telling me that you decided you want to be in media, you were kind of still busy studying, and you just walked up to the SABC, let yourself in, and kind of said, will you allow me to shadow you? I mean, I think that's incredible. And that you actually got what you wanted. I mean, I kind of just think that there's so many people who would go I would never even consider that as an option, but that's actually the most obvious way of getting your foot in the door. That's so interesting. So then what happened? So you go through that experience, you start shadowing these people, and then what were some of the things that you remember learning? What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. And really, I learned so much from that. I find that a lot of young people, especially aspiring young entrepreneurs, think that, they're going to be given some sort of opportunity on a silver platter. And that's not how I had imagined things would be for me. Hence, I just went out there, I put myself forward, and I looked for opportunities. And in many cases, I also created opportunities for myself. So I shadowed Carol for about a year, and then I met Gwena a couple of months while I was shadowing Carol at the SABC. One afternoon, I was leaving the SABC, and then I came across him, and I also said to him, listen, I would love to learn from you. I'm a journalism student at UJ, just across the road. I'm in first year, and if you don't mind, can I come through to your studio sessions and just learn and see what you do? And he also gladly took me in, and I remember he always told me that, the courage that I have, a lot of students don't have that. They feel like they always have to wait for, towards the end of the year when universities go and visit their schools. How about you actually step up and go and invest in your own future and finding out what it is that you want to, embark on in your education, in your career, so that you don't end up in a field that you regret going into. So I really learned a lot, and I learned more than just, what journalism was about. I learned different platforms, different media platforms, from broadcasting to print to online to the digital space. And I got to have options, because that's what the experience does for you. Once you learn, you're then able to have options and say, I don't like this because of 1, 2, and 3. I've had experience in it, so I know what I want now, and I'm not just going to take anything that's handed to me. So that was very exciting for me, and I continued to learn, and I'm very grateful for those people. I'm still very much in touch with them, and I always tell them, I thank you for taking me in, and this is what you created with that space. Nobody was paying me. It was my effort every day after lectures, leaving UJ, walking across the road to SABC to learn, because I knew that one day it's going to pay off for me.
I think that mentorship is one of the least spoken about entrepreneurial facets that every entrepreneur needs to be able to succeed. And I think that you're presenting a very, it's a really good, but it's a very aggressive stance. It's like going up to someone and saying, can we do this? A lot of people would go, maybe I'll tweet at them, maybe I'll send them an email. To go up to someone and say, listen, I love what you're doing. I'd love to spend time with you and learn. But ironically, if you think about it, that is the best way to make an impression on someone. So the fact that you did that, I knew that at such a young age that you shouldn't doubt yourself is very special. But I'd like to go deeper into that experience. What was there a value exchange? Were you going, all right, if you spend time with me, I'll spend time with you, and I will help in these kind of ways? Or were you helping them? Were you working with them? What was there a value exchange, and what did that look like? So when you say you were learning, I'm wondering what that situation meant.
During my experience of shadowing Carol and Gwena, there was not really a value exchange per se. These are just people that said, we can answer all your questions. You can be a fly on the wall. You can watch how we do things, whether they were, shooting their TV shows at SABC Sport, and I would see all the madness, behind the scenes, production, what's been done, and also being on their radio shows and seeing how they, produce their own shows and handle a 3-hour show and so on. So they didn't expect anything from me. I was not paid. It wasn't a formal internship per se, where maybe there was a stipend for me or anything like that. More than anything, they became my friends that said, ask us any questions. Do you want to get into radio? This is the field we're in. This is what you need to do. This is what you don't do. These are the rules. And they also shared their experiences as as media personalities to say, this is what you'll come across. You know, you're lucky that you're learning young, because we didn't get anybody, you know, like ourselves at the time when they were getting into the industry that offered them knowledge and offered them, you know, advice, and just to take them under their wings and just to show them around. They basically sort of went into the industry, you know, blind, but they had to learn and carve their own way around it. But here I was learning from people that were hailed as some of the best sports anchors in the country, some of the best media entrepreneurs. So it was a great experience, and that's why I also offer mentorship and internship programs at my company, because I understand the value of having somebody who started something, who's had experience, and, you know, who knows a lot more than you, who's made their own fair share of mistakes that you can learn from. So I open my doors at Ogela Media every 6 months to take in 4 interns. So in the first half of the year, I take in 4. In the last half, I take in another 4. And above and beyond that, I also do an online mentorship program where I get to answer, you know, questions online, whether it's a Facebook Live session or we're on Instagram, and also through emails. So I avail myself to, you know, people that are serious to learn about the industry and learn about business before they go into it, or perhaps they are already in business and they're struggling and they want advice, and somebody who's there to just show them the way and help where they can.
So what I'm wondering is, if we were to fast forward, so you graduate with this network, because I'm imagining, yes, you were spending time with those people, but you were also meeting other people, and you graduate. Then what happens? What's the next step?
While completing my degree in my 3rd year, we were doing an online journalism module, and we were asked to create a fake blog, like a markup blog, as part of an assignment for the digital journalism space that we were in. And I created my blog, Ogela Entertainment, as an assignment, and I came top of the class, which then led to my lecturer, Miss Nadia van der Merwe, saying, you know what, she believes in the blog, and as much as it was just an assignment, she enjoyed reading it, and she encouraged me to look into it and maybe just do it as a hobby first and see how it goes, because at the time, blogging was still fairly new in South Africa and Africa. So I took her advice, and I mean, we had internet at Raise. I stayed at Raise, so I managed to do some research, and I looked at some international bloggers that were successful, and I then decided that I'm going to launch my company first with our entertainment magazine, which is the online magazine, Ogela Online, and I launched that in October 2011. And I was in final year. I hadn't graduated yet. I hadn't left UJ. So the plan was to launch the blog and run with it for the whole of 2012 and be self-employed and see how that goes, and then branch out and launch the other entities of the company, depending on how successful the first entity would then be. So my focus really, when I first launched the company, was Ogela Entertainment. And I really put, you know, all my time, all my effort in that. I did my research, and I self-funded the company with 7,000 Rand because I didn't want one of those blogspot.com type of websites. I wanted something very professional, and the look, the layout, everything, the template was designed from scratch. And that's where I then invested my money into and said, you know what, I want something done professionally, so that brands take me seriously and they want to advertise on my website, because that's the only way that I was going to make money from the blog, and later on as then a brand influencer. So that's what I did, and I enjoyed, you know, starting up the business and going straight into self-employment after graduation, and having something of my own that I could work on and carve at a young age and make all my mistakes as a young entrepreneur, as opposed to waiting to my late 30s, 40s to launch something. And I've wasted all my other years not learning and not making mistakes. And I think that's something that young people people are afraid of doing. They're so careful. They want to be, perfect. They want to do things right. But in that journey, you have to make mistakes. You have to learn from your mistakes and other people's mistakes. You'll never know how strong you are, how strong-willed and how, knowledgeable you are in a certain field if you're always trying to be so perfect and if you're afraid to take that leap of faith. So I took a leap of faith at the age of 21. I launched my company even before I graduated. And the first year after I graduated, I was fully self-employed up until today. And I'm 27 today, and my company is about to turn 6 in October this year. And it's the biggest and best decision that I've ever made in my life as a young entrepreneur and as a young Black female South African entrepreneur. That's now, open doors for other young creatives that they can also, they can dream big, they can venture into business, they can venture into whatever career field that they want to go into confidently so, and doing their research and knowing exactly what it is that they want instead of taking anything that's put on the table.
I think that's so important. I think so many young people feel like they only have one chance at bat. It's like they have to be perfect by the time they start, because they think that if they fail, then it's permanent. And I think that a lot of that has to do with fear. I think it has to do with this feeling that we have that if we fail once, it means that everyone who doubts us is right. So we sometimes don't even try. And we sometimes will over-prepare as a way to procrastinate starting. So what I'm interested in is when you now did start, what were some of the early failures? What were some of the ways in which you had to learn and try things? And how did you start the company and then realize that, maybe that's not the way in which it should be or the way in which you wanted it to be? How did you start adapting from the beginning?
I had a business plan. So the model was always there, but I always say that along the line, as you grow, as you learn and evolve as an entrepreneur, the plan changes. The plan, you adjust certain things because you know that, okay, maybe I thought I would be at point B or C or whatever at this in this amount of time, but it's taken me a lot longer because I made a couple of mistakes, and you need to rectify those and go back to the drawing board. And some of the challenges that I faced early on when I started the company was really how to manage my finances and know that whatever that comes into the business through advertising, I need to then plow back and invest back into the business so that later I'm able to then launch the next entity of the company. So it wasn't a thing of, the first couple of thousands that I made from advertising, I rushed off and I went on vacation, or I bought a pair of shoes, or, I spoiled myself in whatever way. It was looking and saying, okay, how do I now make this money last me for the next couple of months? Because also when you're an entrepreneur, things fluctuate, finances come, they go, business is slow, then it's fast at a certain season. So I needed to make sure that I'm covered in a season where it might be dry and there's not a lot of advertising coming in through the blog. So I had to sustain myself also, and also just being able to be responsible and to know when you pay yourself, how you pay yourself, not to go overboard, and which things to prioritize and what not to prioritize. I mean, there were certain things that I needed when I started the company, and I put those down as part of my priority list. And I knew that, okay, I need to get these resources because then I'm able to do more. And with that, I'm able to earn more through the blog and venture into other business. So I used my time wisely, and it was challenging. It wasn't easy because you also have a social life. You're young, you have friends, you want to go out, but at the same time, they're employed. They're comfortable with a 9-to-5 job salary, and here you are self-employed. So there were times when I knew that I had to make, sacrifices and not go out on a Friday night and work all weekend and work on proposals and work on the blog and be consistent and work around the clock also. There were times where I would work all the way till 3-4 a.m. and and people just didn't understand. But another thing that I knew, that I didn't have to explain myself to anybody. I knew the vision that I had, the dream that I had in mind, and I visualized it before I could achieve it. And I knew that I had to put in a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of strategizing also, and also understanding what I want, and not just going with what everybody else was saying I should go with, or what everybody else was doing, or what every other blog out there was doing. You know, I had my niche. I knew entertainment was my niche, and I was going to stick to that. But now, how do I become the best at that, so that I keep the blog running, not just as an entertainment platform, but also as a business? So it was challenging. And then some of the other challenges included just being overlooked because you were a young Black female, or you were just female in general. Also that you were just young. You know, I had a lot of doors closed in my face because potential investors didn't believe in me and my dream because I was young. I was always told that I'm inexperienced to run a media company. Why don't I go and get experience, work for somebody else, and then maybe later on launch my company? But I thought, you know, being a millennial, being young is an advantage in this day and age. You know, it shouldn't be something that is frowned upon. So I didn't listen to those people, and I eventually then just launched my company, self-funded everything, did everything on my own. And what I made from the entertainment blog, I invested back into the business. So one tip that I would give young entrepreneurs also is that you have to be willing to make a lot of sacrifices and invest in yourself before other people invest in you, because you see the bigger picture, you see the dream, you see where you want to go and how your company is going to turn out, your career is going to turn out, and people might not see that. Even sometimes your own family and friends might not be able to support the vision because they don't see what you see. But you just have to continue, you know, working hard and continue being focused and stay in your lane and understand that all the work that you're putting in is going to pay off.
I don't think that a lot of people understand what it really takes to be in your 20s and an entrepreneur, and the kind of sacrifices that you have to make, because you want to live a more comfortable version of your 20s in your 30s, you know what I mean, and actually enjoy life, as opposed to kind of almost taking the easy way out, which is, you know, having your 9 to 5. But what I want to talk to you about is probably one of the best feelings you have when you're a young entrepreneur, which is, talk to me about your first sale. So your website's been up for a while, your blog's been running, you've been working hard, the consistency thing. It is so difficult for so many people who are starting blogs to be consistent. So I'm wondering, you've done all the work. How do you get that first sale? How did you make that happen? And if I can ask, what was the traffic that you had at the time that justified that sale? Because for so many entrepreneurs in their 20s, they kind of go, a blog is it's kind of a cost-effective way to build your brand and to be able to make some income on the side. So what was your strategy? And then tell me about that one big sale.
Like you're saying, consistency is one thing that really beats some entrepreneurs, that they start something, they're not consistent, they let it go, they start something else, they don't finish anything that they ever start. And that's where you lose your consumers, you lose your customers. And in my case, that's where I would have lost my readers had I not been consistent. So within launching the blog in 3 months' time, I remember I launched the blog in October 2011, and in early 2012, Avon South Africa approached me. They were my first client, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is huge. Where did they come from? And I didn't at the time also understand how to then equate the number of my readers to how much I should charge for advertising. Hence, I had to then go and do a course with the University of Cape Town on social media and marketing, so that I could better understand how, everything from SEO to rates to being an influencer to just the business of online and the business of blogging itself, and so I did that, and I got experience, but that was also later on. So in the beginning, here is Avon South Africa. In 3 months of just launching the blog, they're interested in running giveaways, beauty hampers on my website, and every month they would pay me to do that. that as a brand influencer. So I would then get product from Avon South Africa that I would blog about a product of the month, and then I would maybe give away 5 of those different hampers to my readers. So they loved the blog, they loved the layout. And the first thing when they came to me and I asked them, where did you hear about me? And they said, we've been seeing your tweets and your Facebook updates. And when we went on the site, we really loved the layout. It looked very professional. It looked like a site that we wanted to place our brand on. And in my heart, I just thought to myself, that's exactly what I wanted. That's why I decided to invest in the blog and put money into getting a proper site set up, as opposed to getting one of those free sites online. And, it would look very, not appealing to a brand that takes the image very seriously. So I was very proud at that moment that, my first business was a very huge corporate company, and that just wanted to align themselves with a brand that I was still building. And in that 3 months of just launching the website, I had 1.1 million hits. Now, I was excited about the million part, but I didn't even know what that meant. I just thought, who are all these people? Where are they coming from? Why are they reading my blog? And later on, I then learned about unique visitors and the difference between unique visitors and hits, and how people land on your site, whether they were Googling a certain celebrity, and I happened to be the first link on Google, and they then became a unique visitor of the blog. It showed me, the back end of the site would show me which countries my blog was being visited at. South Africa was obviously the leading country. Then there was Nigeria, Swaziland. There was a bit of the US, the UK, which I think came also from me blogging about their celebrities, like the Beyoncés of the world. So if you were then searching something on Beyonce, you would then land on my website, even from, America or the UK. So I got to understand the business of blogging, and that was very exciting for me as I was learning to know that, okay, this is how much I can then charge because I have this many readers. At some point, you having online readers bigger than some publications, and that's when you compared yourself to traditional media and thought, well, if I have more readers than the biggest selling newspaper in the country, surely my advertising rates need to go up. So yeah, it was very exciting, and just to make my first sale, just to know that, okay, this is actually going to happen. I can run this as a business. So that was it. And I'm proud that Avon South Africa is still one of my long-standing clients to this point. They moved with me through the journey of blogging and advertising on my website up until I launched the PR company, and they started doing work with me for the Avon Cancer Walkathon, where my company now provides PR services for them and social media marketing services. Up until this day, I'm actually in the process now. We're just finalizing the proposal for this year's walk that is happening in October. So they're one of my long-standing clients. When I first started the company in 2012, they came on board, they believed in the vision, they loved the brand, and till today, Avon is still a client.
I suppose at the bottom of it all, it's all about relationships. Like the fact that you've had a client that started out with you, took a chance on you, and that you're still giving value to them, you're still serving them today. What I'm wondering is, if you were to give me like let's say it's a blog post, like 5 hot tips for keeping meaningful relationships with customers, what would you say your approach is? What are the things that you watch out for?
Firstly, I would definitely say, take your clients as not just the client, go above and beyond. It's really good that you learn, even when they're still a potential client, that you learn the culture of a company. It shows them that you're also interested in what they do. You understand their history. You're not just in it for the quick buck. You're trying to make money, and that's about it. You just know them just from the surface. Do your research, dig deeper, and understand what the client needs. And also, you'll be able to provide even a service that they didn't think that they need, because you do your research. So I think, relationships are very key, very important. I've gotten a lot of business through word of mouth from, other previous clients or current clients that we've worked with, and they said we had a really good experience with Ogela Media, and we would definitely, suggest the company to other clients that they come across that are looking for the services that we offer. So that for me speaks volumes, because I can do a lot of advertising, a lot of brand promotion on social media, on our websites, and so on. But it's always good when you hear firsthand from somebody that has had an experience with a certain company telling you that I approve of those people, I've worked with them, I know that they are legit, and I know that they can, deliver when it comes to whatever it is that they're looking for. So building strong relationships and understanding your client beyond, just the surface, beyond just knowing that this is what they want, this is a campaign they want to run, go deeper and find out even things that they would be surprised that that you can put to the table and offer, that added value. That's what keeps the clients on board for a longer time. And another thing is to also be proactive. Don't just give them what they need. I feel like a lot of the times people come to you, they say they just need PR and that's about it. And you don't research and look into other departments and see, okay, maybe we can offer you this extra service at an added 1, 2, 3 retainer amount, whatever it is. And in that way, you're increasing business for yourself. So I think that's also very important to look out for opportunities like that. Look out for gaps where you can fill for the client. And another thing, consistency we spoke about over and over again. That's very important. That's very key in business as an entrepreneur. I see a lot of companies come and go, and 1 minute they were hot, they were around, they were making money. 5 years down the line, they're no more, they've closed down. So you don't want to find yourself in that situation. You want to be consistent. You want to stay ahead of a step ahead of your competitors, and always know more and do better. That's what I always say. I mean, there are a lot of PR agencies that are coming up, independent ones also, and also the ones that I found that have been in business for over 10 years, over 20 years. Now, how do I then come in and be a step ahead of them and also attract clients that they don't now go to those big companies and they come and give a small business like mine, as when I started, a chance. So that's always developing myself and staying knowledgeable about the industry that I'm in. I'm always learning, I'm always reading a lot of books, I'm always researching, and I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'm not afraid to know that, listen, I don't know this, so I need to ask more, better experienced people. And I do that, and it's very important. So, I think that's about it on my side in terms of the tips. And just remain focused. As much as there is competition, look at them not in an envious way, but look at them in an inspirational way, and to say, how are they doing that? How can we do it better? So that you're always, in the forefront when you're presenting a proposal and you're pitching, that you're one of the, even if it's just one of the 2 companies that, are shortlisted, then that you're doing a good job because you've come out of so many, just to be in that final, top 2 spot. So, take competition as really a good thing, and look around and see what are other companies doing and what can you do better that they aren't doing.
So now, if you were to look back, so now this year you've been listed as Forbes 30 under 30, which is incredible. And I saw just yesterday or today for Women's Day, you were on radio and you're doing all these things, and you in your own capacity are starting to become a real force in terms of what it means to be a young black female entrepreneur. But if you were to look back, because we need to wrap up, what would you say you would do differently if you had the choice today? If you could go back and change a couple of things, or if you could take the knowledge that you have today and make life easier for yourself, what would those steps be?
I don't think there's anything that I would want to, change if I could go back in time. I believe that everything has happened the way it's happened for a reason. I've learned so much. My journey has been very inspirational, not only for others, but also for myself. I wake up every day and I'm inspired by what I've done with my life so far and my business. And if anything, I think I would probably start a lot lot earlier. I know you're probably thinking, but you started at 21. Maybe I would have started at 16, 15, a lot earlier. But even in those times at 16, 17, I was thinking of my company name. So you could say I had already started the dream even then and working on it at that age. So for me, really, it's nothing. There's nothing I would change right now. If anything, maybe I would change the minds of the people that I came across that were challenging, that didn't want to believe in my dream and offer funding, because who knows, I would have opened up a lot more doors than I have today. I would have had my company flourish a lot sooner and open up my mentorship program and internship program and take in young people at an earlier stage than I did. So I think maybe those are just some of the things that I would have loved to, maybe change, go back and change. But with the work that we're doing today, we're changing those stereotypes. We're changing, the culture. We're changing how corporates and, potential investors are looking at young entrepreneurs and saying that they're too young. In fact, now they're taking on more young people because they want, their young minds, and they're innovative. They up to date with what's happening with social media, and they're moving with the times. So now more than ever, it's become an advantage to actually be young because they know and understand that we're just full of great ideas, and they want to tap into that. So I think that's something amazing. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy with my journey. I'm very content with who I am and how far I've come. There's still a lot of work to be done. I celebrate my success and the success of my company, and also just myself as on a personal level, as a personal brand. I continue to grow every year, but also I know what's still ahead. I know the kind of work that I still need to put in, and I know what I still want to establish and the legacy I want to leave behind. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but I'm very grateful for, all the exposure my brand has been getting, the company has been getting, the clients that have stayed with us, the clients that keep coming back, and also the clients that we've done business with in the past and that have gone to refer us to different other potential business that came through, and we've been able to work with them. So that just shows that they believe in the work that we do. They were happy with our services, and they giving back and making sure that the business stays alive. We keep going, and we keep doing the work that we love. So I'm extremely grateful also for the team that I work with. It's all teamwork, it's team effort, and I can't do it alone. And I'm grateful for Team Ogela that today runs with the company like it's their own. It is, they love the company. They're so proactive. They're passionate about the work we do, and every year it amazes me the work that we're able to do together as a team. And not just that, but as a team of young ladies. 90% of the company is female, and then we do have a few male volunteers on our charity foundation, Ogela Helping Hands, and that's something amazing. So I really applaud them, and I'm thankful for the journey. And I'm just thankful that we keep growing in business, and I keep inspiring young South Africans and other young entrepreneurs across Africa, across the world to invest in entrepreneurship, invest in their dreams, and just don't let anybody limit them.
Allegro, thank you so much for your time. Your story is incredible, and I wish you nothing but the best. So as we say goodbye, if you were to look back at your 21-year-old self in your very first year, in your first 365, what would you tell her? Thanks for the evening. Cheers. Bye.
If I had to look back, and that's about 6 years ago, and tell the 21-year-old Allegro, I would tell her to be strong. I would tell her that nothing happens overnight, and I would tell her to keep working hard, to believe in her dreams no matter what, and just to keep working at it, and to keep working on herself, and to compete with no one else but the woman that she sees in the mirror every single day, to be better than who she was yesterday. And I would also tell her that thank you, the leap of faith that she took is admirable. Even for myself at this age today, I look back and I think, wow, I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful that I took a chance on myself and I invested in myself and I didn't wait for anybody else to believe in me first. So, yeah, big ups to the 21-year-old Allegro, and I'm very grateful for the journey. And thank you so much, Rian, for having me on your the platform. And I hope that it's going to inspire a lot of young people and just people in general who are looking for that extra push in the right direction. And good job and kudos to you, and thank you so much.